you ever had situations where you have, say, a DUI, and then people are fighting it basically on two levels, right? They're fighting the license, and then they're fighting the complaint of driving under the influence.
Right. It's a criminal case for driving under the influence, but first you're going to have to deal with the administrative consequences of either refusing to take the test once you're arrested for DUI, or if you take the test and you're over the legal limit, which for adults is .08 and for under 21 it's .02 or more, then you have to deal with two separate judges, two separate proceedings, two separate standards of proof.
All right, so slow it down for me. I get pulled over. The officer suspects me of driving under the influence.
Correct.
Okay. After he has this reasonable suspicion, he's going to ask me to possibly engage in a field sobriety test or possibly a handheld breathalyzer like at the roadside, right?
They can ask for either or both. All of that's voluntary, but they will ask, and it will usually sound like they're going to tell you to do it, but they're really asking.
And I don't have to do it.
No.
I'm not, at least under the law, I don't have to. I can't be compelled to do it.
Right. There's no suspension of license or any other consequences for not doing those voluntary things unless you've been handcuffed and given your implied consent rights. There are no consequences to your license.
All right, but now he places me under arrest. So I say, well, I don't want to do it. He says, fine, you're under arrest for suspicion of driving under the influence, right? And he reads me my implied consent notice, right, telling me
Correct.
that under state law, we are all deemed to have consented to certain tests, right?
Right. And once you're suspected of DUI, you have to take whatever test the officer asks you to submit to.
I have to.
If you don't, then you can be suspended for 1 full year with no right of any type of limited permit for refusal. And in Georgia now, the officers, many of them, are then taking you for a blood test, charging you with refusal for 12-month suspension administratively, and then trying to get a DUI conviction too.
All right, but for the listener out there, wait a minute, I haven't been convicted yet.
Correct.
The DA has not convicted me, or the solicitor has not convicted me of the offense of driving under the influence, but you're telling me just the refusal of the test results in a suspension.
And in Georgia, as opposed to many other states, there is no limited permit or short-term suspension followed by a limited permit. There is nothing to drive on for 12 months if you lose that hearing.
If you refuse, you lose your right for 12 months. It makes you want to think about it. If you've got a question, 404-872-0750 is the number. Harvey from Naples, Florida. Welcome to the program, Harvey. Sure. Yes, he is. Excellent. So what's your question? But it raises a really interesting question because it's not only, I guess, the situation where you may not know, but also those that do drive knowingly and then get stopped. So we will handle both sides. So let's first address Harvey's side, Bubba.
Okay.
Do you have that situation where people are unaware that their license was suspended by the state and then all of a sudden they're caught in the fishnet?
They probably are unaware because they didn't pay attention when they got ticketed, because if you fail to get to a court appearance, the court will suspend your right to drive right on the spot when you fail to appear, and you have to unravel that mess first. Mm-hmm. If you also fail to comply with any of the terms that you may have gone through on a sentence, the judge may summarily send in a notice that you didn't complete them and suspend your right to drive. So you have all kind of things that could happen, and you also could have just forgotten that your license expired on your birthday or whatever it might be. But it does happen from time to time that people get to a roadblock and unsuspectingly are in trouble. And if they're not drinking, it's usually not nearly as bad as if they are intoxicated. Then they're going to be charged with DUI too. So
here are a couple things we'll do. We're going to be talking about some of the ways your license can become suspended without actually committing an act. Let's say a driving act, right? So a way that you might be surprised that your license will be suspended. And when you hear the list, it has everything to do possibly with a divorce. It could have to do with fees you don't pay. It might even have to do with drug use. It's going to shock you. Stay where you are. I'm Adam Goldfein. You're listening to AM 750 and now 95.5 FM News Talk, WSB. Ready? Feel good?
Cool.
Yeah.
You've got a live associated spot, so I'm going to play the Rosetta Stone spot first, and then I go to you.